if you're listening, you know what time it is. It's another Throwing Bagels podcast. Kevin Mooney here. Hi. And alongside yours truly, Chris Douglas. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, Kevin?
Hey, the same.
The
It's
same?
the same old
Man.
Chris. How about? Well, we have a few things to discuss in your life.
Do.
So we
do.
will.
Things have changed. Things have changed a little bit. But
Things
my
have
question is, where the hell is Jason?
Yeah, Jason doesn't get the on assignment excuse this time.
No,
It's unacceptable.
No, absolutely not.
It's the equivalent of forgetting you had an assignment due 2 days before.
That's right. And yes, and not handing it in.
So no courtesy from us.
That's right. Unbelievable. Believe this guy? Sorry, guys.
That's not a bad Hamo.
That's pretty good, right?
Yeah,
limited fake Jason Hamo. Okay. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, well, let's do it. You could be our substitute Jason Hamo for today. You could be Chris Douglas and Jason Hamo.
I don't think that'll work.
No. Anywho, Jason's not here. So we wish him all the best.
And we will miss him too.
I'm
sure he'd love to have this conversation with the two of us because we don't have a guest today.
No, this is another Shooting the Breeze edition.
Yeah.
Of the Throwing Bagels podcast.
How about that?
It's just you and me, Chris.
Wow. Dangerous game, very dangerous game.
Very dangerous. So, as we speak, the Olympics are kind of starting to wind down.
Mm-hmm.
But there's really been no shortage of outstanding events and really a lifetime's worth of memories that'll be coming out of Paris for this Olympics.
It's been really, really awesome. And I think one of the reasons is it's on a good time because it's in Europe. So everyone can, if you're working at home, you can kind of have it off to the side and whatnot. You kind of listen in the background. And the best part of this Olympics is they basically have red zone for the Olympics. The gold zone on Peacock has been fantastic. I tune in every day. Just kind of leave it off to the side, peek over every now and then. Oh, it's been great.
I have heard that that Peacock show, that channel has been like the response has been amazing. People absolutely love that.
Yeah, and they should do it going forward 100%.
How can you not? I think now it's a staple. Now it's going to be a staple.
Yeah, of course. And you have the guys that do red zone on it, so they know how to do it. It's wonderful.
And there's been plenty of stuff to follow. The United States is, certainly doing well. We can't give you a medal count because look, there's going to be a time lapse between the time. It's fluid. Yeah. It's going to be different by the time you listen to this. So why should we bother talking about it? The United States is in the overall medal lead. We're pretty sure that's not going to change.
Yes, that will not change.
No.
The gold, however, that may change. They've been trailing. But that may change.
That may change because of some team sports coming up this week. Men's and women's basketball. We got women's football.
That's right.
So soccer, right? Soccer. Sorry.
For the kids out there, it's soccer, yes, but it's football, yes.
Football.
The football.
And Chris, what are the odds? So which of those three teams from the United States, men's basketball, women's football, which ones are getting the gold here?
Oh, wow. Women's basketball definitely.
Okay.
Is 1,000,000%. Okay. So they're definitely going to win the gold. Mm-hmm. I think the men will win the gold. I think the only team that will probably give them any trouble might be Serbia, just because of Jokic. Or France, because just they're the home team. If they get to play each other. And then the women's soccer team, I think, will win gold, although it'll be a little bit tougher. And they have a tough match against Germany coming up. That's going to be a really tough one.
No, they do.
It'll be a tough one.
And then, although America's not involved, but on the men's football side, it's France and Spain for the gold medal. Yes. And that's going to be France competing for the gold medal in Paris. Forget it, man.
Yes. No, it's going to be wonderful. So the France beat Egypt 3-1 in extra time. And it was Jean-Philippe Mateta who scored a brace today, which is 2 goals for those that do not know or not familiar with the soccer language. And Michael Olise was the man of the match. They actually both played at Crystal Palace up until recently. Olise went over to Bayern Munich this summer. And then Spain beat Morocco 2-1, with the winner coming late in the game in the 85th minute. Juanlu Sanchez with the winner there. So Spain trying to do the double because their men's senior national team won the European Championship this year. So that'll be really cool if they do that. I think the last time that happened was France, as a matter of fact, if memory serves. But don't quote me on that.
I won't. Don't you worry. And not only that, but I think the Spanish women are very much in the mix for football too.
Yes.
So if the United States women beat Germany, they could wind up they'll face either Brazil or Spain.
And I do think Spain gets to the final. I do think the U.S. women get to the final, and
that's gonna be a good.
That's gonna be an epic battle. I think that's gonna be really good. The Spanish women are really good. That's a really good squad. I think all 4 of those teams are really good.
Yeah.
On the women's side, that's a tough one to pick, but I do think the U.S. will pull it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you heard it here, guys, and I'll just whatever Chris said. That's my Olympic take.
and jot it down. Jot it down. Take notes.
You could easily make the case that all 3 of these teams are taking home the gold, but depending on the way the ball bounces, right? Never know.
Never know. It could be a game of inches, Kevin. Game of inches.
Could be a game of micrometers, even.
Oh my goodness!
That. What, the men's 100?
Unbelievable. Noah Lyles. He won by 0.0005 seconds. That's insane. Like that's like photo finish in horse racing. It's photo finish in auto racing. Like that, it doesn't get closer than that. You know who I do feel bad for though is Lee Diffie, who had the call on that race for NBC Sports. He actually thought the Jamaican runner had won that race, and that's how he announced it. And he simply, he came out and said he made a mistake, but. Man, that's a bummer though, isn't it? Because you're calling the Olympics, this is like an epic race, right? And it's coming down to the millimeters, and you got it wrong, and that stinks. And that's it doesn't bother anyone per se, but it's gonna stick with him forever.
Speaking as a former play-by-play broadcaster, that's one of my worst nightmares.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that is absolutely difficult when you're talking about a millionth, basically 100,000th of a second, whatever it is.
Yep.
Impossible to call that accurately, but he took a stab at it and it didn't work out, and now there's really no highlight.
There isn't. I know, that's the bummer. Highlight. That's the bummer part.
Yeah.
That's why I feel so bad for him. Man.
Yeah.
Oh, what a bummer.
It kind of reminds me of, I was calling Cornell women's lacrosse, and they won the game in overtime, and I called the wrong player because I had this mental block. I kept repeating the goaltender's name, even though it wasn't her. I knew it wasn't her, but her name just kept popping into my head, and it was a goal. She scored a goal. And I wound up saying the goaltender's name on accident.
Oh man,
and it wasn't her. And I'm like, oh god, it was overtime too. So you can't go back. You can't fix that call.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
It is a bummer.
Oh man.
But one tip. There's several aspiring hockey broadcasters in our audience. I'm sure there are.
Of course.
But one tip I had after a goal, if you're not sure who scored, wait to see who the players surround.
Yes, that is a great tip.
They surround the goal scorer, and the goal scorer is the first to knock gloves along the bench. Yep. So if you're not sure, you wait until you fill some time until they see who they're surrounding, and then you say, oh yeah, that's
Yep.
So and so.
That's a good tip, though.
It is a solid tip, but yeah, it's such a nightmare to have a call like that in a situation like that, and because it was so close, you didn't make the right call. It was a
Yeah.
50-50 call.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Hard. Oof.
But it doesn't ruin the moment. It doesn't ruin the moment for the athletes because obviously they don't know, but and the audience that's actually in the stadium. But I'm sure some people were like, no, he didn't win, or yeah, he won. I mean, it literally was anyone's race. I mean, it's
Oh yeah.
100,000ths of a second. I mean, it's so like minuscule. Oh man.
Has there ever been a closer finish? I don't know that there has.
I could not find one in my research. I could not find one that was closer than that. That's pretty close. I mean, that's unbelievable.
I mean, and that's with today's technology. You would never be able to do that.
Oh no,
20 years ago or whatever.
Not even close.
So
not even close.
But
speaking of like greatest like moments and like greatest athletes in the Olympics, Simone Biles.
I was just gonna say that, Chris. You took the words right out of it. We can't discuss Olympics without bringing up Simone Biles.
She is the greatest gymnast, period. Not women's, not men's, greatest gymnast in Olympic history, period.
11 Olympic medals, 30 world championship medals. She's the most decorated gymnast in history.
Yeah.
And absolutely greatest gymnast to ever walk the face of the earth.
Yep. Agreed. 100%.
I mean, I've seen some articles saying, "Oh, this might have been her last one," but she says she's strongly considering competing in Los Angeles.
Do you know what the most shocking thing was to me? She's 27 years old.
Yeah.
I had no idea she was 27 years old. And maybe I'm just doing this thing because she's like 4'8".
Yeah.
And she doesn't look like she's 27 years old. Dude, wow. My body started giving out at 27 years old, man. Like, seriously?
She could very well have another two or three Olympics under her belt. Come on.
I believe her. Yeah, I believe her. I mean, she's in tip-top shape. And she's just amazing. Like, dude, I was watching her do the vault. I mean, she's getting up like 12 feet in the air, which is, and doing flips and somersaults and like, holy dude, I can never fathom. I can barely do like a tumble. You know how in gym class back in the day, like, you had to like to put your head between your legs and kind of roll forward.
Yeah.
That made me dizzy. Okay. I mean, I can't imagine Simone Biles, what she's doing.
And to come back from her previous struggles when she had the twisties and had to pull out of the prior Olympics because of that. Yep. She was really having trouble finding getting her orientation as she's going through all those jumps and twists, and to come back from that and to have the performance she had in Paris is just unbelievable.
And credit to her therapist, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing stuff.
And that's very true. She mentioned the importance of mental health, in addition to physical health. And I think we should all strongly consider her words.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's funny because like, gymnastics, there's a team associated, but you're out there on your own. And boy, can you get in your head.
It's really been a fantastic Olympics to this point. But of course, I mean, I'm already looking forward to the Winter Olympics.
Already?
So I love the Winter Olympics, man. It's my favorite. If I had to choose between the two, I would say winter all the time.
Yeah, winter's fun. The Summer Olympics are really cool because you can talk about things like the pole vault that you don't get to talk about a whole lot. And
it's true.
And listen, we're not going to go there. All right. We're not going to go there. We know what happened. Fine. But let's talk about what happened in the pole vault. Okay. Swede Armand Duplantis won the gold medal, and he set the world record with 6.25 meters. That's insane, man. That's really awesome. Second place, silver, went to Sam Kendricks of the United States. And the bronze medal, Manoli Karalis, the Greeks, in third place in the pole vault. Let's go. Pame. Pame, Lines. Pame.
Chris is Greek, by the way, in case you weren't sure.
Yeah, really?
So yeah, I look. Winter Olympics is first because of one hockey and two curling. That's it. Can't
I
beat it.
love curling.
Can't
Have
beat
you
it.
ever done curling?
I want to. I have not.
Oh, so, sidebar, Sarah
Okay.
and I actually did curling in September, or I'm sorry, not September. Yes, in September, every year in Jamestown, New York,
Jamestown.
there, there's a Scandinavian festival right downtown in Jamestown. Okay. And one of the things that they have, like in their arena, is you can try curling. And we did curling, and it was awesome. You
Yeah.
got to do it. It's so awesome.
I'm game. I'll have to find a figure out where and when. We'll make it
Oh,
happen, Chris.
yeah.
We should
Well,
have
yeah,
a throwing bagels curling team. Let's do it.
agreed. Agreed. We should do that 100%. I'm on board.
Why isn't there a SUNYAC curling league? I think there
That's a
totally should be
great
one.
question, actually.
Is
That
there
is a,
is there collegiate curling? Is there
there
even
has to be.
somewhere?
There has to be. Let's ask our research staff to
All
get
right.
on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that.
I don't, yeah, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? I would watch that. I'd
Heck
watch that
yeah.
every day.
Yeah, put it on like a triple header in Oswego, right? The curling, or maybe even a quadruple header, men's and women's curling, and then men's and women's hockey. You're all set. You got a full day.
You do.
So
So
yes.
to answer your question, as a matter of fact, there is an NCAA national championship for curling.
Mm.
And it looks like, oh, they don't give me the championship here. Oh, it's ongoing, maybe. Maybe it's not ongoing. But yes, there is. Michigan Tech was one of the teams involved. So this is Division One. MIT is up there.
Oh,
Arizona State.
Arizona State.
I mean, they've got a hockey team too, so that's kind of interesting. Minnesota, Bodine, RIT. RIT has a team. There you go.
These are
Rochester.
very hockey centric schools that
It is
you're reading off. So
interesting. So the next championship is in Midland, Michigan, March 7th to the 9th, 2025.
mm.
How about that?
Let's start pushing, Chris, for a D3 curling league. Let's
I
do that.
think that'd be really awesome. You can probably, I mean, they recruit Canadian kids for hockey in Oswego. I can't imagine why we couldn't get some curling kids too, right?
Yeah. So I thought we dovetail from there. We can jump over a little bit into the trade deadline for Major League Baseball. I know that has come and gone. That was July 30th. And I think really Mets did some tinkering on the edges, bringing in Jesse Winker and a couple of other, a few other players. But I think overall, the big news was that they did not trade any of their top prospects.
Yeah, and
around.
that's really good. That means that they have faith in them, and maybe they can get them up into the majors sooner than later. And I mean, right now the Mets are in the wild card hunt, so they lost 2 of 3 to the Angels.
Shouldn't
Going
do that.
into no, I mean, God, they're so bad. They
They
were
are
bad
bad.
with
Come
Trout
on.
and
Uh,
Otani, and they lose to that team 2 out of 3. It's
no.
unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Look, this month they're really only playing like one team that's outstanding, and then
Yes.
everyone else is either right in the Mets league or they're terrible. And so this is really the month that they've got to make a move and they've got to start winning a lot of games because they're starting to. You can kind of see that they're starting to struggle a little bit now, and because they were hot heading into the All Star
They
break,
were, and then the All-Star break came, and man, it's like a team's worst like nightmare. Like you're playing so well, and then all of a sudden, bam, you got to stop.
right?
I think we should do away with all All-Star games. I think I may have mentioned this on a previous pod. They're just let's just do them at the end of the season. Let's not. If you want to do a 2-week break, just do a 2-week break. Don't do an All-Star game. Just let's continue on. Just like they do in the Bundesliga in Germany. They take a winter break and then they continue. No All-Star games or anything like that. You want to name All-Stars? Go ahead, name All-Stars. Or play it at the end of the season. Messed up the Mets.
Well, you make a case because the All-Star game is already constrained by GMs and managers saying, no, don't
Mhm.
pitch this guy here. No, don't throw him
Yeah,
there. So it's kind of compromised though as it is with players' health on the line. So if you do move it to the end of the season, then no one will watch it. No one
no,
watched. No
no,
one ever watched the Pro Bowl when it was after the Super Bowl.
no.
So although you could see that where they wedge in the All Star game before the World Series, they could do something like that.
Sure. Yeah,
Um,
that makes, I mean, that's kind of what they do with the Pro Bowl, right? They
yeah,
they do it right
now
in
they do.
between.
Yep.
Yeah, they do it right in between the AFC NFC championship games and then the
Mhm.
Super Bowl. So yeah, that's that. I
You
mean,
never
you
know.
might get some eyeballs on that. Who knows?
Possibly.
I don't know. Just who cares with the All-Star games? Messed up
Yeah.
the Mets this year. And you know what the funny part is about the Mets this year is, man, they got off to a terrible start. They were awful, awful for the first
Yeah.
month.
They were 0 and 5, I think. Didn't they start the year 0 and
Yeah,
5 or something?
something like that. Yeah.
And then they went on a hot streak and then
Yeah.
they plunged down to 11 games below 500 and
Mm,
that was end of May.
right.
And you thought, all right, well, they're done. But
Yeah.
then they came back.
And they came back and now they're in a wild card mix.
So
Game and a half
very
out.
much, very much so.
We'll see
So
what
that
happens.
that was my last blog was talking about the Mets and how I thought they really should have maybe parted with a prospect or two to bring in an elite pitcher, whether a
Mhm.
starter, reliever, whatever. But then your blog came after that. And Chris, if you want to remind everyone, what was this topic of your blog
Yeah, I went on a
exactly?
cruise.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's it.
Oh, something else happened too. That's right. Yeah, yeah. No, I got engaged. I got engaged.
Congratulations,
Thank
man.
you. Appreciate that. Yeah, it was quite the experience. Uh, so for those that didn't read it, you should go read it because I do review the cruise on there. I'm not going to name the company that we went on, but it was lovely. We went to Mexico. And I guess I can tell the whole story about the engagement because I'm sure people are very interested in hearing that. I know there were a few people we had some comments about, well, we need the full story, not just this blog here. So I'll give you the full story. I'll give you the whole rundown here. Okay.
Nice.
So on the third day of the cruise, okay, we stopped in Cabo San Lucas, which is lovely, right at the tip of Baja California. If you've never been to Mexico, that's where it is, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I'm just absolutely gorgeous, right? And of course, there was another cruise ship there, and there's boats everywhere, and the beaches were full, and it was gorgeous. So my plan all along was to propose to her on this trip. I just didn't know when it was going to be. I'd mulled it over. I'm like, man, am I going to do it during dinner? No, there's too many people around. I don't want to be that guy. So I decided, let's do it. I'm going to do it on the beach. And the only people that knew about this was Cameron, my son, Wesley, her son, and her mother. No one else, not her two other sisters, their husbands, kids, no one else knew about it. So we get to Cabo, we get off, and we go to the beach, and we're swimming and all that sort of thing. And I pull her aside, hey, let's go for a walk. So in the meantime, I had taken the ring, it was still in the box, and I put it in my book bag. I brought a book bag with me, with like a change of clothes and all that, so like passport. You don't want to, if you get kidnapped by traffickers or whatever, you want to make sure that people can find you. So we take a walk along the beach, and towards the far end of the beach, it would be probably the west side of the beach. There's this big like cliff area, and it's like it's very picturesque. Okay, it's very very pretty, and I'm like, I just wanted to talk to her for a second. She's all freaking out, like, what the hell's going on? What is wrong with you right now? So I had the ring in my back pocket of my swim pants because that was the only pocket I had. And I had my hand in the pocket.
Yeah.
And she found it weird that my hand was in the pocket because I have it around my pinky and I don't want to let it go.
Oh, I hear you. I'd be
You know,
terrified of losing that.
oh,
Yeah.
I was mortified. Like, no, I can't let this thing go. Right. So we walk down. I have my hand in my pocket. I've got the ring around my pinky. We get to the end, and there's like this little kind of like an oval shaped like cutout of where the rock started and like the cliff started and all that sort of thing. So I turn around, I take the ring out of my hand, I kind of cup it so she doesn't see it, and I get down on one knee and I say, "Will you?" And I have the ring in front of her, and before I can say "marry me," she's jumping on me with joy, just saying yes, 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 So I did finish the sentence after she stopped bear hugging me and I gave her the ring. And yeah, we embraced and we kissed, and it was pretty romantic. So she said it was the most romantic thing anyone's ever done for her. So I think I did all right.
You get a gold star, my friend.
I did. I did. I have a couple gold stars. I got one in the back pocket just in case, I say something stupid one time and she gets mad at me. So yeah, I get a mulligan.
You absolutely, you get at least one mulligan, at least
Yes,
one
of
mulligan.
course. So and so we went back to where everyone was sitting, and
Mhm.
and she let her sisters know, and everyone was very excited. So it was yeah, it was great. It was an awesome experience. It's the second time I've asked someone to marry me. The first time didn't work out very well. But second time I think is absolutely going to be a charm. Absolutely a charm. So yeah, very excited. We have not set a date yet. Um when we do, I'm sure people will find out, and we'll have another wedding.
Well, that's a fantastic story, and Chris, all the best to you, man. Congratulations to you and Sarah,
Thank you,
and
Kevin. Appreciate that.
may you enjoy the rest of your lives with each other.
Oh, that is the plan.
That is the
We're gonna get
plan.
old and gray together, and fat and lazy, and we're not gonna care, and it's just gonna be the two of us, and we're gonna
Ah,
love it.
yes. No matter where you are in the world, it'll just be the
Exactly.
two of you just enjoying life.
Yep.
Great. That's great.
Exactly.
Now, how long did your son, her son, and Sarah's mother, how long did they know about the secret?
It was just a couple weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. It was just a couple weeks because I the funny thing is I ordered the ring about 2.5 weeks before the trip. And I timed it so that it would come like the Friday before we're leaving. So we're leaving out, we're flying out to LA on a Monday.
Oh,
So the ring
man.
came on a Friday. And I made sure, like, this is definitely going to be your Monday, like Friday, right? Yes. Okay. And it was,
Okay.
the jewelry place came through, and yeah, it was cutting it close. But yeah, they only knew for a couple weeks.
Okay.
So yeah. Well, I'm sure people want to know how you got engaged, Kevin, because you've
No,
been
they
married
don't.
for some time, right? Yeah, come
No, they don't.
on. Oh, come on.
All right. It was very let's see how it was. I'll say it was perhaps not anywhere near as romantic as yours. But well, so Allison and I, we met at Oswego.
Mhm.
So we were walking across campus at Oswego. I think we had, I forget why we were there. Like I brought her there under some false pretense, like
Of
we were going to
course.
visit
Yes.
somewhere or whatever. And we were walking by the Newman Center, which is one of the places where we first met and got to know each other. Because she had volunteered there
Mhm.
and ran the coffee house there for a while. Um, and so I had the ring, and I just took the ring out. Like I was walking behind her, and so I took the ring out, and I said, hey, and I had the ring out, and she turned around and saw it, and like her mouth popped
Of
open, and
course.
I'm like,
Yes.
"Are you going to marry me or what?" So she said yes, and that's it. The rest is history.
But that's romantic in your
So,
own way, like with you and her, right? I mean, come on.
yes,
That's good.
that is good. Probably not what she probably had in mind, but it was what I had in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everyone
So,
pictures it differently though.
yeah.
I didn't know it was going to be on the beach in Cabo. Like I had never
Mhm.
envisioned that.
It just kind of so when you booked the cruise, did you know
Hmm.
you were going to do it then, or did it just kind of
Uh,
follow after that?
I knew it was going to be during the trip.
Okay.
Because I wanted her to be around her family when I did it.
Yeah, sure.
So that's the reason I did it then.
Mm,
We'd originally had planned on going to Greece and I was going to do it there.
mm.
But those plans fell through and we ended up going on a cruise. But anyways, so yes, I mean it was always the plan to do it this summer. So
That I'm sure everyone asks, when are you going to get married? And it's like, just take your time, man.
yeah,
Just
we'll
take your
get
time.
there. We'll
We'll
get there.
get
I mean,
there.
it's yeah. What
If there's one
you'll know
thing,
when we know.
yeah, exactly. But the questions, I'm sure family and friends, they mean well, but the questions never end. It's like, all right, we're engaged. When are you going to get married?
Yeah.
When are you going to
Well,
get married? When are you
what's
going to have a kid?
yeah,
When are you
what's the
going to have a
rush?
kid? Where are you going to have another kid? Are you going to have another kid? What about another one? It is so the questions never, and then it's when are you going to stop having kids?
Yeah,
This,
that's yeah, that's
yeah,
exactly how it
see,
happens. It is exactly how it happens. But we've already decided there's, we have two teenage boys. We're at that point where yeah, we're kind of we
yeah,
want to do some traveling
of
and that sort of
course.
stuff and we're closed for business there. So
Look, and if this was 20 years ago, you would get those
totally
questions
different
about
story.
kids. Totally
Totally
different
different
story.
story.
Like,
Yeah, we'd probably, we'd probably, get an army,
yeah.
field a football team, that sort of thing. And then they would say, when are you going to stop having kids?
But yeah, we're all in our 40s now. I don't think there's any kids on the
I
horizon at this point.
I cannot imagine changing diapers at 45 years old, man. Are you kidding me?
No.
There was something that happened at the grocery store recently where there was this, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 year old kid just carrying on and just would not just stop whining and crying to her mother. And God bless her, she was doing a great job with that kid. But I don't want to deal with that anymore. No way.
Yeah, I will never get angry with a parent whose kid is acting, who's
No.
just fussy or,
Yep.
bored or irritable because we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg and
Oh yeah.
they've been through a ton already. So
Sure.
like why be angry at them?
Yep.
What good does that do?
Exactly. Yeah. Especially on airplanes, like people don't really like realize like, man, that's tough for kids sometimes,
It is.
so
So cut those parents some slack.
that's right. Public service announcement by the Throwing Bagel staff.
Absolutely. So, well, the last time we had a shooting the breeze, we talked about traveling pet peeves and places we wanted to visit. I don't know. I think we'll leave the pet peeves until Jason rejoins us. I think
Yeah, because he had some good ones.
he has some good ones. And plus that we would talk about driving pet peeves and like driving in New
Man,
Jersey in the New York City metro, whole different
you
bag.
guys must have some amazing
Oh,
stories. You really do.
so yeah, and now I don't miss that at all. Don't miss that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm sure you don't. And just speaking of traffic, LA, oh my God. First of all, I'll never go back to Los Angeles again, like ever. What a waste of a city that is. Terrible, terrible city. Oh God, how does anyone live there? They wait in traffic all day.
I know.
It's awful.
So Allison and I went to Hollywood
Ugh.
7 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And I was surprised that the subway system in LA is what it is. It's like a fifth of the size of the New York City
Yeah.
subway,
Yes.
if that.
Yeah.
It was very small, and so they had buses. Okay,
Yep.
so we wanted to take a bus to Santa Monica, so we bought like a Metro card, the equivalent of a Metro card for LA,
Sure. Sure.
and we like tap it and we board the bus. And we're like, and the bus driver says, "Oh, you're going to Santa Monica?" We're like, "Yeah." They said, "Well, that's another 60 cents or whatever." I'm like, but I just paid the fare. Why didn't it just take the fare? So I was like, we were dumbfounded that it shouldn't matter. It should already just take it off my card.
Yeah.
Whatever. So he let us slide. He let us slide on the 60 cents, and we got our bus trip to Santa Monica. I'm like, never doing that again. But yeah, the traffic is crazy.
Ugh.
So yeah, but that was it. Would I go back to LA? Probably, but it was just kind of it was real. Some of it was kind of stressful, like walking around at
It,
times. But
yeah. We went to Hollywood too for part
mhm.
of it because we had a whole day left in LA after we got off the cruise. I was very disappointed with Hollywood. Like it's just, you think like glitz and glamour and like it's gonna be electric and like it was everything but everything but that.
Very touristy, trappish.
Oh my goodness, is it? Yeah, and that's the most disappointing part of it, really. But I get it. Like that's why people go there. They want to see the stars and except you go into gift shops every 5 feet and uh, overpay for things.
So we'll leave the traveling part out. We'll let
Mm,
Jason rejoin us with that. But I thought we would, since we're still in the summertime, still plenty
yeah.
of time to go out and do stuff. And so, and I know Chris and Jason, I know you guys talk about traveling internationally. I don't, Allison and I do not. So, not that we don't want to, but it's just not there for us
Yeah.
right now. But we like to do a lot of road trips, like in across New York. And there's a handful of places that are really good, and we would recommend them. And actually, Chris, you already mentioned one of them. Was thinking Jamestown
Jamestown.
because
Yeah.
Jamestown, not that, but maybe an hour short of Buffalo, like an hour
About, yeah, an hour
east.
south. Yep.
Yeah, ish. Yeah,
Southeast. Yeah.
southeast.
Yep.
But the National Comedy Center is there, so
Hmm.
that is a great museum about all the comedians you can possibly think of. They're all represented there at National Comedy Center. Lucille Ball, because that's Lucille Ball's hometown, Jamestown. So the Lucille
Hmm.
Ball and Desi Arnaz Museum is there. And we checked that out. We walked through her hometown. I think her actual hometown where she was born was Celeron, which is not that far from Jamestown.
Okay.
So they have a statue dedicated to her in there, and then Jamestown as well. So that was a lot of fun taking a trip out there. Cooperstown, of course. I mean, come on,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
you have to, and it's not just baseball either. It's just the atmosphere. The lake is right there.
Yeah. It's really nice.
It is
Yeah.
really nice.
You can take a side trip to Amagang Brewery. It's a nice,
Yes.
it's a lot smaller than you would think, but it's really
Mhm.
nice.
So thumbs up there, Canandaigua. If you've ever been there, that
Really?
is like way
Okay.
out. Not as far away as Jamestown, but it's out that way toward Buffalo.
Yeah.
But it's one of the Finger Lakes, and the beach is like it's probably the best one. We visit a lot of cities along the Finger Lakes,
Hmm.
so this one has a really good beach setup. So if you're interested in like hitting the beach, then that's Canandaigua is one of the great places in the Finger Lakes to do that. And Corning, actually, I would say Corning. If you have not been to Corning, it is the Corning Museum of Glass is one of the most interesting museums that I've ever come across.
Yeah. I love Corning. That's a cool
Mark,
little town.
it is Market Street, just
Oh, yeah.
all the restaurants and
Yeah. It's
shops up and
great.
down. Oh, it's fantastic. So those are my suggestions. So if you're
Yeah.
listening and you're looking for an upstate road trip, there you go.
Those are good, man. Those are
Yeah.
really good because Corning is actually on my list as well. And like you said, Market Street, like, post COVID, I don't know if it's recovered fully, but
Mhm.
it's still pretty good. I mean, there's still plenty to see and plenty to do down there. And the museum is really awesome as well. I actually made an ornament So you have the opportunity to like make, you can blow glass yourself, which is really cool. It's a
Nice.
really cool
Yep.
experience. You should definitely do that if you go. One of my favorites is favorite places to go like for a day trip is down at Watkins Glen.
Mm.
Watkins, I mean, and you walk the state park there. You can go through the gorge, and that's really
Yep.
cool. And there's some really famous pictures of the gorge with the bridge and like the rain coming down, and like that's really cool. And there's also just to the north of Watkins Glen, there's a brewery called Grist Iron, which is fantastic, fantastic. You should definitely go there. It oversees the lake. It's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. It's just gorgeous. It's very picturesque. Everything is outside. A really cool place to go. Another place I I really like going to, and it's on the opposite side of the lake of where Watkins Glen is Geneva.
Geneva.
Geneva's a nice little town too. It's there's plenty of places you can walk through, and there's Hobart is a big college there, and even though it's not downtown, it's like kind of close enough to where you can kind of get to both places at the same time. There's some really great restaurants there as well, and plenty to do, plenty to see when you walk around. And again, the lake is there, and
Mm-hmm.
you, I think there is a beach there. I've never been to the beach, but I don't know. I'm not big on swimming in lakes, so oceans I'm fine with. I have no
Mm-hmm.
problem with the ocean, but fresh water, it gives me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Geneva's, Allison and I went there for our anniversary recently, like a few years ago. We stayed at Belhurst Castle.
Yes, of
This
course.
is a lot of that was
Gorgeous.
great
Yeah.
with the restaurant there. Yeah, Belhurst Castle. Highly recommend if you're going out to Geneva. Yeah.
One of the last place, and you mentioned Cooperstown, which is another
Mm-hmm.
great place to go to. The other place I like to go to is back home to Albany. Like it's just, downtown is pretty cool, like especially when legislature's in session
Mm-hmm.
and you go during a day downtown, it's buzzing. Like it feels like a big city, even though it's not a very big city at all. But it's got that feel because of all your lawmakers there, and sometimes they do their job, sometimes they walk around, but you have to run into some people. So it's just really cool to just feel that vibe sometimes.
It is. Yeah, I visiting the big cities upstate like Buffalo and Albany and Rochester,
Yeah.
Syracuse, of course. There's something to be said for the energy that they bring when school's in session or when
Yes.
all the legislature's in session. Yeah, is a great vibe there. When
Although I do become like the old man with my fist in the air with some of these Syracuse University kids driving around here. But we'll
uh
get to that when Jason's here. We'll talk about that another time because that's like a pet peeve that the driving pet peeve. It falls under that category. So I'll save it.
yes, because I'm sure a fair number of SU grads come from big cities that have horrible drivers, so they've brought their skills or lack thereof
Yeah, that's exactly right.
to Syracuse. Well, that was a quick one, Chris.
That was
That was fun.
quick and dirty.
Quick. So that will do it for this edition of the Throwing Bagels podcast. You can check us out online, throwingbagels.com. Email us, throwingbagelspodcast@gmail.com. All of our socials are on our website, so check them out. And please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Put some little goodies up there every now and again. So enjoy those. And we will see you again in a couple of weeks. Jason's got a blog coming up, and I think he should spend at least part of that blog defending or explaining why
That's
he
right.
has bailed on us.
I agree. I agree.
For our podcast this week. So hopefully we'll see him explain himself. Right, Chris?
He better explain himself.
Better. Farewell.
Adios.